Well, I'm trying again. We had some technical difficulties a few minutes ago in the room where in another computer. Seems like all is going well right now. So I'd like to thank those of you who requested a solar calendar. If you haven't received it yet, it is in the mail or will be in the mail as soon as possible. I don't know what caused those problems earlier, but again, we're focusing on how to read the solar calendar. It's just that this computer, I don't have access to all of my tools that I have in the other room. Where I'm sitting now is my office, where I mail out the calendars from. The solar calendar is of utmost importance that we learn how to read it correctly. That's the only way that we can keep the seventh day, is if we know how to read a solar calendar. Now, Matthew chapter 24, verse 30 refers to the sign of the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven. You have to study those words, clouds, heaven, sign, to know that we're not talking about anything that's out there floating in the sky. That's not what's happening. That scripture is referring to things that are happening right here on earth. Yahweh says in Exodus chapter 31, verse 13, and Exodus 31, 17, that the Sabbath is a sign. This is the same sign that's being referenced in Matthew 24, 30. Yahweh doesn't change. So in order for us to keep the Sabbath correctly, we must learn how to read a solar calendar. The calendar that the Romans use, this calendar that is just, I don't know what to say about it. It's just incorrect. It starts in the dead of winter, which that's an error. It goes from December 31st to January the 1st without starting from zero. That's incorrect. Our solar calendar starts in the spring and it starts from zero. And it's based on the Holy Bible, which says the evening and the morning constitutes the day. Our solar calendar, Shalom Aleichem family. Let me say that again. We must learn how to read the solar calendar. Have one in your possession. Know that Abib One always occurs when there is 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night in Israel, in that area of the land. Brother Zachary Israel, I'm going to address you personally because your calendar came back. We sent your calendar address to the address that you shared with us. So if you would correct your address, double check your address, and we'll send it out again. If the calendar came back and said no such person, I'd like to take the moment to let you know that when you request a calendar, this calendar measures 11 by 17. It's a large calendar and it's in a large envelope. So if you're not home to pick it up, The mailman, if he thinks he knows you by name and he thinks there's no one at that address by name, he's going to return that calendar to us. And we would have wasted postage sending it to you. So we ask that you give us a name and an address that you're able to have someone collect the mail, or a name and address where you can go to the post office and retrieve the mail. Yeah. Understand that Abib One is always Abib One on the solar calendar. And Abib One always occurs when there's 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night in that tiny part of the earth that's called Israel today. It is not based on what the Romans refer to as the vernal equinox or the spring equinox, when the sun is shining on half of the earth at one time. That's incorrect. This calendar was created from in the beginning, and the earth had not yet been populated to that point where we were concerned with the sun shining on half the earth. Neither did Yahweh tell Moses to speak to all the people. Yahweh told Moses to speak to the children of Israel. Verily, my Sabbaths ye shall keep. The Sabbath is for us, Israel, to keep. If you claim to be Israel, then you're supposed to be keeping the seventh day the way Yahweh gave it to us to keep it. We were punished and put into slavery because we stopped keeping the law. We broke his laws. We broke his commandments. And that's why we're punished. Yahweh ben Yahweh came in the flesh as the Son and taught us how to keep the seventh day correctly. That is what Matthew 24, verse 30 is referring to as the sign of the Son of Man. The same sign that's referred to, that is a sign forever between Yahweh and the children of Israel. That's the only way we can keep the law. We cannot keep the law of the Bible, the laws of the Bible, if we cannot calculate a calendar. It's very important that we learn how to do it. Abib One is always Abib One. Abib always occurs on the equinox for Israel, but on the Roman calendar, because the Roman calendar is a trick. The Roman calendar is fake. The Roman calendar is false. The Roman calendar does not correctly calculate the Earth's rotation around the sun. The Roman calendar only keeps our people from keeping the seventh day correctly. That's all the Roman calendar does. And that's the purpose of the Roman calendar, to keep us from keeping the seventh day, to keep us and deceiving the whole world. That's the only purpose of the Roman calendar. Understand that Abib One, in this 25th year of the 28-year cycle, or 26th year. Like I said, I don't have my tools in front of me. I'm in another room. The answer to your question, Soya, I'm going to stop in mid-sentence sometimes if someone posts a question. What people say is because they don't study. You know, our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And we must study like we've never studied before. We must learn. We must be born again. We must be renewed in the spirit of our minds. All the scriptures are telling us the same thing. We must become as little children and start learning all over again. The days of the week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They don't line up with anything other than confusion, those named days. Understand that the solar calendar is perfect. It does not change. The calendar that we're sending out to you have the Roman calendar on it so that you can understand how to find out what day it is. For example, today being the 21st day on their Roman calendar, is actually the 13th day of the 5th month on the solar calendar. But being as how it is sunset already, we are actually starting the 14th day of the 5th month because our day begins at sundown. So this is actually the beginning of a new day. Understand that the evening and the morning constitutes a day, according to the Holy Scriptures. We must return and be renewed in the spirit of our minds and leave this thinking of America and keep the 7th day the way our Father gave us. That's the only thing that's going to bring us out of this mental slavery that we're in now. Physical slavery is over. The change now on our minds. And what Yahweh Ben Yahweh came to do is to resurrect our minds. We must be renewed in the spirit of our minds. Our thinking must be changed. You know, we're not looking for a physical war. The war that we're fighting is a spiritual war. This war is addressed to the righteous people of the earth, regardless of your skin color. Again, you don't need a gun for this. All we need to do is spread the truth of the Bible, the Holy Scriptures. Yahweh will redeem us as he promised. The end was declared from the beginning. Shalom Aleichem, brother. If you request a calendar, please put a name on it that you can retrieve, that will allow you to retrieve it from the post office. Because our calendars are coming back because the mailman will not deliver it because he's thinking that we sent it to the wrong person, that this person doesn't live there. So they just send the calendar back. Or if there's some error with the address, they will send the calendar back. We want you to have it, and we want you to understand that Abib One is a different numbered day on the Roman calendar every 4 years. Because the Roman calendar, they add a 366th day to their year every 4 years, and they call it leap day or leap year. I mean, they just do it. The truth of the matter is, our calendar is based upon, our solar calendar is based upon the time it takes the earth to rotate around the sun from a fixed point in the heavens known as the equinox. Not the equinox for the world, but the equinox for Israel, where it all started. It's based on the earth is a sphere, and 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night for that area is different from 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night from other parts of the planet, because the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and it's a sphere. Our calendar is perfect. And it follows a pattern where every 28 years, the Roman calendar realigns itself. Their March 17th lines up with 12 hours a day and 12 hours a night for Israel. And they throw away the 7 days that they've added to true time. And they call it the closing of the 7 leap years, or they call it the 28-year cycle. So you'll see our calendar will, on the Roman calendar, Abib One will line up with their March 10th for 1 year. Then it'll line up with their March 17th for 3 years, completing that cycle of 4. Then our Abib One will line up with their March 16th for 4 years. Every time they add a 366th day to their calendar, and there's only 365 days in a year. Every time they add a 366th day, our Abib One will seem to move on the Roman calendar by 1 day, because our calendar is actually based upon the time it takes the earth to rotate around the sun in perfection. So that amount of time going from the 0 point equinox back to that 0 point equinox is 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 45.51 seconds. And starting from zero, our calendar counts that imperfection. The Roman calendar does not have a zero. There's no zero in the Roman counting system. I believe they have X, I, V, L, C, M, but no zero. They don't have a starting point. They just have numeral symbols, but are number symbols. So when you get your solar calendar, on the back of it, you'll find the 28-year cycle. And I believe we're in the 26th year of the 28-year cycle. The next leap year that they have when they add 366 days will be the closing again. We're going to continue these classes. We're going to continue to share. Remember, Abib One is the equinox for Israel. The seventh day will be a different named day every year on the Roman calendar. Just like when you keep your birthday. If your birthday this year is on a Monday, next year it'll be a Tuesday. The next year it'll be a Wednesday. Regardless of what number day you keep, it's going to be a different named day every year. And that's the same thing with the solar calendar. We keep the seventh day, not any named day, but the seventh day. We don't keep Saturday. We don't keep Sunday. We keep the seventh day. So the understanding will increase as you learn this. Look at this calendar in relationship to Matthew chapter 24, verse 30, Exodus 31, 13, Exodus 31, 17. Study the words in Matthew chapter 24, verse 30, and you will find out. It will be revealed to you clearly what's going on concerning the solar calendar. So we started earlier and I had some technical difficulties. Don't know what caused them, but possibly it was my fault. So we have concluded our lesson for tonight. Please send your requests for a solar calendar. Please send your request for a free solar calendar to bosschapter7@gmail.com. And include praise Yahweh, Ben Yahweh.